Okay, so we're going to check out the new parameter queries in AtlasAlive on demand, hosted by MapServing. We have a few set up in a demo map that we can check out. One of the nice features about the parameter queries is you can set one by default to display on the map when the user logs in. The one here we have is a free-form box so the user can enter anything they want. We also have some more parameters set up here. Parameter queries. In this case, we have a drop-down box to select the owner. So you can go ahead and find your owner. We also have a slider bar set up with the values that you would want your user to choose. And we also have a selection box. So those are all the types of queries that you can actually have set up. Now, if we wanted to go ahead and run one of these, we have an option over here to kind of get my map squished down here to fit the screen recording, so we can zoom to our selection. If I go ahead and run this query, it should find the parcel and zoom to it, and you'll notice that the selection is persistent. You can zoom out, move around, and in the results pane where the data for that information comes up, you have different ways to view the data, and if you had photos linked, you'd be able to see those here. So why don't we go ahead and log out real quick and we can show you the administrative setup for these queries real quick. We'll go into Administer. We'll bounce over to the map, and in our map we'll go to the queries and look at our first query. Here's our find parcel query, and here's where you type in the query text. In this case, what we're going to do is you're going to enter the parameter in between the double pipes right here. So in this case, we wrote a normal select statement that we could run and test in our local manifold map just like any other query. As a matter of fact, we have that. We'll just bounce over real quick and we'll look at this. This is a query I set up in my local map, run like a normal query with my parameter being used. So I was running this here, and then I converted it to the AtlasAlive syntax just by popping it in between the double pipes. So go back to the map. So that's where you set up the query, and by selecting a base layer for the drawing that you're selecting on, that's how you maintain selection state. So in this case I'm selecting from the parcel drawing, so I'll select the parcel base layer. Enter a name for your parcel. Then under the parameters tab, here's where you set up parameters. You can have as many parameters as you want to. So you add a blank parameter and then you configure it. In this case we had a free form. The label in the map that comes up next to that parameter you can set here. This is a name that corresponds back to the actual name of the parameter in your query statement. You can enter a default value if you choose to. And since this is a free form, the rest of these are left unset. So if we go back to another one, here was our dynamic drop-down list. Again, a simple select statement with our parameter in double pipes. Set the base layer to maintain selection state. Over in the parameters, we can see we have a dynamic drop-down set up. So last option, enter our label, the corresponding SQL syntax for the parameter. And in this case, to set the dynamic drop-down, you want to reference a drawing in your map. In this case it was parcels, and a column in that drawing that you want to show as the parameters. In this case it was an owner show column. And we'll show you another one here. This tree condition was Again, a simple select statement, parameter and double pipes. Set the base layer, maintain selection. Come over to the parameters. And here we're going with a slider. Label, name, set the default. Here we're setting a min and a max and a step value. And the same thing applies with the stepper. Now I'll show you one last thing with the queries here, because this is a nice feature. If you went ahead and set up one of these queries for, say, in this case it was Chippewa Falls map, and it could apply to other maps that you were using, you could come over to the query sharing here, and these would be all of the available queries that you have set up. So you can go ahead and bring that into your own map and update. Now, you must remember, once you create a query, you have to assign it to your role for that user to be able to access it. So you select your role, then you come over to your queries, find the query you made, and assign it to that role, and be sure to update.